Yeah, so this is going to be your 26th class of your Prelims mentorship program. We are focusing on the economic survey today, right? So some chapters of economic survey, that is what we are focusing on. Fine. All right, so we'll start with the first topic, the first keyword that is very important for you from your prelim standpoint, that is Engel's pause, right? So here again, four statements given. You can take a guess which of the following statement correctly describes what is known as Engel's pause. What do you think would be the answer here? You can take a guess, okay? You can take a guess. D. Okay. Nandagiri, fine. Dinesh, fine. Praveen, fine. Soumya, Mayur, Dushyant, fine. Yeah. All right. So let's see here. Yeah, you're right. It is actually D, right? So Engel's pause is basically talking about a period in time where you have achieved maximum productivity, but at the same time, the wages have not grown substantially. Okay. So it was last observed during the Industrial Revolution, where because of huge productivity, or because of steam engine, or because of the shift in textiles, we see high productivity in the sector, but the wages have not grown correspondingly. Okay, so that is something which is being observed right now also in because of the transition to AI, right? Okay, now when we talk about AI models, yeah, just go through them. Different companies, different AI models of them. Okay, so you can go, Google is there for it, Gemini is there, Microsoft Copilot is there. So different AI models have been mentioned. So you can go through them. Again, they can be asked in pair format. Fine. Okay. Now we come to the main topic, that is Engel's pause. This is important. So here it refers to a period during the early industrial revolution where economic growth happened, and because of which there was increased productivity, but wages basically stagnated. That is worsening income inequality. Okay. So here, as and when the economy matured later at a later stage, because of formation of labor unions, because of government regulations, the wages of the people also improved. But there was a period in time where this stagnated, the wages stagnated. So that is known as Engel's pause. So focus on that. Fine. The next one. Now, what economic survey basically mentions is there are multiple institutions that have always been at play as and when you transition from any one industrial revolution to the next. Okay, so there are two major institutions that are there. One is an enabling institution, the second one is an ensuring institution. Okay, so the enabling institution, what it ensures is that the people or the workforce that are there, they are provided with the necessary skill set so that they can easily transition to the next revolution, industrial revolution. Okay, so enabling institutions could be skilling institutions, okay, which will provide the necessary skills so that the workforce can adapt to the next sort of labor, right? At the same time, there are ensuring institutions also, which basically ensure, or it ensures that if a worker has lost his job, then it should be he should or he or she should be able to maintain a certain standard of living. That is the purpose of ensuring institutions. Okay, so throughout our industrial revolutions, throughout our transitions, we have focused on basically, or the governments have focused majorly on these two institutions. Okay, now the economic survey basically mentions, now in the next transition to AI, we should also have something known as stewarding institutions. Okay, that means those institutions which simply do not sit at the sidelines, but they ensure that there is transparency also, so as there is increased transparency during this transition towards AI. Okay, so stewarding institutions that are there, they ensure that there is a clear-cut balance of public welfare, and there should be instant innovation also. Okay, for example, crypto space is there. Instead of directly banning such an innovation, stewarding institutions will ensure that only the positive aspects of it are, or they are regulated in such a manner that the positive aspects of it come into play. Okay, so that is the role of stewarding institutions, and this is what economic survey says we should focus on. Fine. All right. So here the aim of stewarding institution is to foster the social acceptability of AI and promote the right levels of transparency and accountability in AI applications. Fine. Okay. Now coming to the next one. Next one is, what are the current real world challenges associated with AI? Okay, so the economic survey mentions there are four major challenges that AI faces. This you can mention in your this you can mention in your this diagram you can mention in your mains answers also, right? The focus is on, yeah, exactly, four major parameters. One is you have to differentiate between breakthrough and practicality. So an innovation or a breakthrough would be, for example, ChatGPT, right? A breakthrough. Okay. But at the same time, the practicality of aspect of it is, let's say if multiple people start using it, do we have enough energy capacity to focus on? Okay. So is it practical enough? Or is it energy efficient enough? Okay. So we need to differentiate between the same. Okay, so for common applications, we need to ensure they are practical, and at the same time, it is highly efficient also. Okay, so that is a major AI real world challenge. The second aspect is the reliability component to it. That is, even though there are certain uh, parameters or certain data sets that are given, it might be so that the data sets that are being fed is compromised data sets. It can also happen, right? So here you cannot always say that the chat GPT is always correct. The reliability aspect of it is very less. Okay. The third one is the infrastructure challenge. Now, this is a major hindrance for AI tech companies now. Okay. That is, first and the foremost thing is the servers involved. That is an infrastructure challenge. The second aspect is even the cost of acquisition of data has increased. Okay, earlier they would simply go to Google. Yeah, exactly. They will go to Google and they will basically take up data. Okay, but now because they have to refine the models further, they have to go through different data sets. And here also the rising cost is happening. Okay, so here recently you might have heard of various authors who have directly, uh, who have directly, yeah, who have directly challenged ChatGPT and all for for using their data sets, right? So that is also there. And the final aspect is efficiency. Okay, efficiency is also a challenge. So currently, what is the major issue that is going on? Yeah, the rising cost of AI model training. Okay, so earlier, yeah, you could directly use data, but now saturation has been reached, and to get new data, high quality data, there is rising costs involved with it. Okay, so now currently, what is happening is generally what has been observed, they are using now synthetic data for AI model training. Synthetic data is basically artificial data. Now, what are the problems associated with artificial data? That is, you're simply generating data, but it may be imperfect in a current imperfect world. Okay, the data sets would be highly imperfect, right? So that could be a major challenge. There is a completeness issues there. There can be inaccuracies associated with it. Okay, there can be inconsistencies also in the evaluation. Okay, and all of this leads to model collapse. Okay, if your high reliance on synthetic data is there, there could be model collapse. Okay, so focus on that aspect. Fine. Now, this one is very, very important that you focus on it. That is ARC AGI benchmark. What is it focusing on? Okay, so when we say ARC, it is abstraction and reasoning corpus for artificial generative intelligence. Okay, so what is this benchmark? This benchmark basically is a tool that basically uses all AI systems to find out if they have human reasoning capabilities. Okay, so it is designed to measure an AI system's ability to perform like human or human like reasoning it should have. Okay, so currently, what is the problem? All AGIs basically focus on statistical models. They rely on large data sets, and based on it, they are predicting outcomes. But humans are not like that. They have limited knowledge, and but they are able to reason with their limited knowledge and find an answer, just like you do in prelims. With your limited knowledge, you are able to answer your questions in prelims. So here, when AI will also focus or transition towards that, that is this benchmark. That is, with limited knowledge, with minimal training, can you generalize data with the limited data you have, and can you come at conclusions? Okay, so that is what this benchmark is all about. It evaluates whether AI can think abstractly, it can recognize pattern and solve problems without prior domain specific training. Okay, so this is very important. Please go through it. Okay, so it avoids the reliance on large scale data sets. It focuses on abstraction, pattern recognition, and problem solving. Fine. So basically, contrast to large language model, exactly. Large language models focuses basically on high data sets. Okay, whereas this one is, if any AI model is able to pass this benchmark, it simply means it has now achieved human-like reasoning. Okay, so it is totally in contrast with the uh, other models. Okay, this is just a benchmark to see with limited knowledge can they do, right? The next one is tokenization. Now, another important term that you should know, when you talk about tokenization, it is basically when you give any form of text to a AI model, it is basically breaking down that text code or other data into smaller subtext so that it can understand it better. Okay, and then it is converting into a numerical format. So they are basically known as tokens. That is, whatever command you have given, breaking it into smaller units, and these smaller units are known as tokens. Okay, and then they are associated with numerical format, and then the process happens. Okay, so tokenization is that is breaking down of your command. Right now, all the big transformer models that are there, that is your ChatGPT, Llama, they rely on this tokenization process to generate data or to generate text. Okay. Now, what you should know here is what are transformer models also. Okay. So here, when we talk about transformer models, they are basically AI models which use your data. Okay, the which process sequential data. Now, what does it mean? Simply, for example, if I say application of transformer models, this is it. Okay, so earlier AI models, what used to do is they'll break it up. They'll break it up, all they will break the data into, or they'll break up the text into multiple tokens. Okay, and they will see it independently. Okay, so this will be focused independently. This will be focused independently. Now, what has happened is transformer model, what it does is it breaks up into proper sentences, application of transformer model. Okay, then it will reach back to its data, and whichever is the most uh, whichever word has the most data point, it will go there. For example, transformer has the most data point. If AI model has the most data point on transformer, it will go there and search its catalog there. Okay, and then it will try to link whatever content it has with the rest of the keywords, and that is how it operates. Okay, so earlier model, what used to happen, it used to break each and everything and then see it in a abstract format, all of them individually. But in transformer models, what you do is you read them all simultaneously. Application of transformer model, they will be read simultaneously, and then you will try to make sense of it. Okay, so that process is known as self attention. Okay, so this one again, self attention is also related with what AI model. Okay, so this is now the foundation of modern natural language processing. of all AI models, transformer model. Okay. So what is the application? Chatbot, machine translation, text summarization, sentiment analysis, all of it are the applications of transformer models. Okay. Now, this is very, very important self-attention mechanism. Okay. So unlike traditional models, transformer models analyze all words in a sentence at once rather than sequentially. Okay, allowing them to understand the context better. Okay, so this one is very, very important. Again, related in what context. Okay, and now they are also parallelly processing. Okay, all the different words, they are processing it in one go, and whichever has the maximum data point, it is trying to link it with those data points. Right. So these are two major features that you should know regarding transformer models. Okay, and they are used in our current chat GPTs. Fine. Okay. Now this one, again, very important. Mixture of experts foundation model. Okay. Now see here the difference between transformer model. In transformer model, what was happening? Yeah, it was sequenced. Your data was sequenced. It was processed simultaneously. But when it went back to its own data, it was checking its content, entire content it was checking. Okay, it was checking up its entire content, acha, where that content is, or all data sets it was checking. Okay, whereas when we talk about mixture of experts foundational model, now this is related to DeepSeek. Okay, so in DeepSeek, what is happening? Yeah, context is Praveen, DeepSeek. The difference between DeepSeek and ChatGPT, working of both of them. Okay, so your DeepSeek focuses on mixture of experts foundation model. Okay, I hope this is clear. Okay. Now remember this aspect. This is very important, और ये बहुत important है आपके prelims point of view के लिए. Okay. Why this is important? Because why is it that DeepSeek was able to uh, process or was able to use the data at a very lower cost? The reason is this model. Okay. So here what happens is, instead of going through the entire data points, first and the foremost thing what it does is it reads the data that we have given, it categorizes it. Okay, this comes under, let's say, science question. Okay, whatever I have asked, it comes under a science question. So then it will not go through the entire data set, it will only go through the science section of it. So what is happening? It is directly giving that information only to the expert. I hope this is very clear. Okay, focused, exactly. So when we talk about mixture of experts, it is an AI model architecture that divides tasks among multiple specialized neural networks. Okay, we have learned different neural networks in one of the classes. Okay, so here it focuses on multiple neural networks and it assigns to the expert here. Okay, for example, in ChatGPT, if you are giving to create an image, it will directly give it to a neural network which focuses only on creating those images rather than going through the entire data set. Okay, so that is done through a gating mechanism which selects the most relevant expert to process the specific task. Okay, so it activates only relevant submodels, making computational more efficient. Okay, so this is what is the basis of uh, DeepSeek. Fine. Now, what are the advantages? Definitely, because you're focusing only on certain aspects of it, it will improve efficiency, it will reduce computational cost, it will enhance specialization. Okay. But there are certain challenges associated with it also. Okay. You have to train it much more largely, and at the same time, you will have to classify your data also. So complexity in training is there, increased memory usage is there. There are certain aspects to it. Okay, so please go through it. Now, the next one that you should definitely know is chain of thought foundational model. This is also important. Again, DeepSeek. Okay. Now, as the name suggests, it is an AI foundational model which does not directly give you an answer. Okay, but it gives you the chain of thought also. That is, how did it arrive at an answer? That is chain of thought foundational model. So if you have used DeepSeek, you will see this. That is, let's say if you ask a question, right? For example, let's say x plus y is 5 and x minus y is, let's say, 6, right? So it will not directly give you ChatGPT. What it will do, it will give you x and y. Okay. But DeepSeek, what it will do is it will give you each and every step. That is, how did it arrive at that answer? Okay. So that is basically chain of thought foundational model. Okay. It works by prompting the AI with explanatory reasoning steps also. Okay. So instead of directly generating an answer, the model explains, okay, yeah, why it has arrived at that answer. Okay, so this is just a math aspect of it. But generally, also, let's say if I ask it something, a very philosophical question, okay, what is the most essential trait a civil servant must have? So it will go through each and every one and it will say, okay, this is according to me. Okay, so that aspect of it will be there. Okay, so it basically self questions itself. That aspect of it is there through the chain of thought foundational model. Okay, so please go through this. All are very important keywords. Chain of thought foundational model, mixture of experts foundational model, transformer model, tokenization. Four important keywords that you should know. Fine. Yeah, I hope this is very clear. Okay, so now all of these words given in your economic survey, that is labor and AI, that chapter. Okay. The next topic we'll go for is agriculture now. Okay. So here in agriculture, I have a question for you. Kisan credit card already asked in your UPSC. Tell me, what do you think would be the answer here? Four statements are given here. 1, 3, 4. Okay. What about others? Kisan credit card scheme. 1, 2, 4. Okay. 2 and 4. 2 and 4. 1 and 4. 1, 3, 4. 1, 2, 4. 1, 4. Okay. Fine. Let's see here the answer. Okay. We'll go through the content and then we'll try to answer that question. Okay. So yes, the first and the foremost thing in India's agriculture sector, the industry which has grown the most, especially with respect to exports, that is floriculture. Okay. So here also, if statements are given, if out of four options you have to select, you should know ki yes, when we talk about exports of agri and processed foods, it is floriculture which has grown exponentially large, higher than processed fruits, vegetables, even livestock. Okay, so you should know this. It is the one which has grown the most, right? Now, when we talk about floriculture here, yeah, certain export destinations are there: USA, Netherlands, UAE, UK, Canada, and Malaysia. Okay. Now, okay, now when we make the international comparison of productivity of selected crops, what you should note from this graph is when we talk about all the crops that are there, let's say cereal, pulses, paddy, maize, in all of them, India's agriculture productivity is lower than that of the world. Okay, so when it is for the world productivity is here, India's productivity is much lower. Okay, except for groundnut. Okay, except for groundnut, all other crops that you see here, India's productivity of crop is selectively less compared to the world. Okay, so remember that aspect that is there in your economic survey. Fine. The next one, urea gold. Yes, mentioned in your economic survey. That is a new variety of urea where you have coated with sulfur. Okay. Now, what is an important point that you should note here is it is much more efficient than neem coated urea. This fertilizer that is there, it is more economical, more efficient than neem coated urea. And yes, it improves nitrogen use efficiency, reduces consumption of fertilizer, and enhances crop quality. Okay, so focus is on sulfur, addressing sulfur deficiency that is there in the soil. Okay, now developed by APSU, that is Rashtriya Chemicals and Fertilizer Limited, a chemical manufacturing company in India. Okay, so much more efficient than neem coated urea. That aspect you should know, right? Now, the next initiative is PM Pranam initiative. Now, this one is basically incentivizing states to transition to alternative fertilizers, especially organic fertilizers. Okay, so why should states transition? The reason is the government is saying if you are able to save some, if you are able to save money because of your transition to alternative fertilizers, we will give you back 50% of that saved fertilizer subsidy. Okay, so the plan entails granting 50% of the saved fertilizer subsidy back to the respective state governments themselves. Okay, out of this 50%, 95% will go to the state, 5% will be taken up by Indian government for monitoring certain initiatives. Right. So here PM Pranam initiative focuses specifically on helping states transition to alternative fertilizers. Okay, so remember that aspect. The next one is lower tail dependence. Now, this one, in what context it is used? When we talk about lower tail dependence, it basically means there are two parameters which behave in the same manner in a certain setting. Okay, it means the likelihood that two variables will experience extreme downturns together. So one is going down, the other will also go down in a financial or statistical context. Okay, so in agriculture, it has been observed by researchers that the rainfall and crop yield are basically mutually uh, they are mutually related here. Okay, that means when rainfall is there is a shortfall in rainfall, definitely there is a loss in crop yield also. Okay, so that correlation that is there, it is known as lower tail dependence. Fine. Okay, coming to the next one, irrigation coverage. Now, when you talk about irrigation coverage here, yeah, Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Telangana, they have high irrigation coverage, whereas in Jharkhand and Assam, there is relatively low, right? Now, in these kind of statements, again, is it steadily increasing? That is gross irrigated area as a percentage of gross cropped area. Is it steadily increasing? Steadily increasing in the last decade. These kind of questions. No? So here you can see towards the end, what is happening? Okay. So towards the end, it is not. Okay. So whenever in UPSC also you will see steadily increasing and all steadily decreasing. There are very certain exceptions. That exceptions are there in the economic survey. Otherwise, you will generally go with the statement being wrong. Right. So that is. ठीक है. नहीं अखिल चंद, वी आर फोकसिंग लोअर टेल सिंपली मीन्स कि दो पैरामीटर्स रिलेट होना, दैट्स ऑल. ओके, more rainfall may lead to crop yield loss, may. Okay, but rainfall कम है तो definitely it has been statistically it has been found by researchers कि crop yield कम होगा. Okay, so that correlation, that is lower tail. Okay, and both will behave in the same manner. When one decreases, other also has to decrease. Okay, fine. Now the next one is sources of irrigation. Now, when we talk about sources of irrigation, it is the canals which are greater, right, compared to tanks. Okay, so total irrigated area is there. Go through it. Fine. The next one, yes, area under micro irrigation. Now, this is what the government has mentioned. Ki yes, area under micro irrigation has constantly increased in the last 10-15 years. Okay, so here this also, you can see, yeah, it is increasing. Okay. Now, what is important, Acha? This one is important. That is composite land use restoration and assessment tool. Okay, that is CLART GIS. What is it based on? It is basically focusing on ensuring that there is enough water conservation efforts. Okay, especially in rural communities. Okay, so here this is an Android tool which focuses on soil and water conservation measures. Okay, so it will basically tell the farmer, ki, yes, it is here that you can get certain groundwater, or here in this part of your land, it is basically water deficient, or you should recharge more groundwater on it. Okay, so that type of system can be accessed through your mobile phones, and it has been made with the intent that farmer can easily understand the type of cropping pattern that he has to do. Okay, so this tool that is there, it enables rural communities in designing measures, okay, to either recharge groundwater or augment surface water availability. Okay, so it gives you the data. Now there is another similar app also, that is Avni Gramin app. This also focuses on the same parameters. Okay, so this one, just go through it. CLART GIS. Fine. Now, coming to the Kisan credit card scheme here. So now this one is already a UPSC question, that Kisan credit card scheme focuses on what all parameters, right? So this is a 2020 or 21 UPSC question, right? So here it focuses on cultivation, even post-harvest activities are there. Marketing loans, here the farmer can take up loans under Kisan credit card for his consumption needs also. Okay, for his daily consumption needs, that also he can take, so that uh, so as to ensure he does not depend on informal trading lending sources. Okay, working capital for farm assets, investment credit for allied activities. So for all of them here, you can clearly see Kisan credit card scheme was there, right? So this we have already seen, it's already a UPSC question. Okay, but why are we covering this in news? Because now the loan limit has been increased here. Okay, so under Kisan credit card scheme, earlier under modified interest subvention scheme, it was 3 lakhs. Now it has been raised to 5 lakhs under this union budget. Okay, so this you should clearly know. Fine. Okay. Now, when you talk about Kisan credit card scheme, yeah, in 2019, it was the ambit of the scheme was increased to include animal husbandry, dairying, and fisheries also. Okay. Now, modified interest subvention scheme, yeah. So provide a 7% interest rate, and if you there is repayment made, timely repayment made, yeah, 3% subvention is given. So effective rate is 4%, and here the loan has been increased from 3 to now 5 lakhs. Okay, remember that aspect. Uh, yeah, it also provide post-harvest loans against negotiable warehouse receipts for farmers with KCCs. Okay, so after your harvest also, if the market forces are not there, or the farmer is not getting enough remuneration, he can take loan against these warehouse receipts also. Exactly. Right. So that is the aspect under the scheme. So please go through this important schemes, important updations that have happened. Fine. Now, the next one, which is very important, that is Kisan Ran portal. Okay. Now, when we talk about Kisan Ran portal, earlier what used to happen, whenever the farmer applied through modified interest subvention scheme, it had to be submitted. Those claims had to be physically submitted before RBI or NABARD. Okay, now Kisan Ran portal, what it has done is it has digitized this entire process so as to ensure that formal credit is directly going to farmers. Okay, so it has digitized this process, ensuring farmers and lending institutions there could be seamless transactions and improving formal access to credit here. Okay, so here under Kisan Ran portal, again, it is not simply focusing on cropping activities, but dairy, poultry, fisheries, beekeeping, all of it comes under the same modified interest subvention Kisan credit card scheme. Okay, so please go through it. Okay, the next one is, yeah, different. Uh, technologies are there, that is winds, yes, tech, cropic, all of them, all these technology interventions that are there, focusing, yeah, one is on weather, one is on yield, one is on crop, real time crop photos, right? So again, technological interventions, what are they related to? You should know. Fine. The next scheme, that is Agriculture Technology Management Agency scheme. Okay. So what does the scheme entail? The scheme basically focuses on providing enough farmers with experience, with different state or best practice experiences. That is the aim of the scheme. Okay, so it promotes decentralized farmer friendly extension system in the country. Exactly. Okay, so it will ensure that farmers are trained better, or if there are any better practices involved, okay, they are exposed to it. Okay, or it will mobilize farmer groups, organize farm schools. All of this comes under this scheme, Atma scheme. Okay, the scheme is supported by the central government. The funding pattern is, yeah, 90% and 10% by the center and state government. Okay, now what is an important aspect to it is here is, yeah, it provides extension services, that is there. The second objective here is it also ensures that slowly the technologies that farmers are adopting, it transitions to shared ownership of agriculture technology systems. Okay, that means they are not heavily reliant, but at the same time, they get ownership of that technology also. That also comes under the scheme. Okay, so not just farmer extension services, but ownership of technology. That also comes under the same. Okay, so remember this aspect. Now, coming to the next one. Okay, the next one is Composite Index of Agriculture Sustainability. As and when, no, not IPR, it is focusing on basically, this one is simply focusing on ensuring farmers do not live in their own silos, but focusing on whatever best practices are there. For example, some good tractor has come, right? So there they focus on ensuring that is brought forth, Akhil. Okay. But at the same time, not just on a loan purposes. Let's say for 5 years. After 5 years, the farmer should also should actually buy that tractor. Okay, so that aspect of it. Okay, so they are focusing on that aspect more. कि आप जो टेक्नोलॉजी ये कर रहे हो वो बाद में आपका ओनरशिप होना चाहिए. Yeah. Coming to the next one, Composite Index of Agriculture Sustainability. Yeah, this is calculated by ICR and it basically focuses on rating. That is, our different states, their agricultural practices, are they sustainable or not? Okay, so that is what this does. So the average estimated value of the index is 0.49, which shows that the Indian agriculture is moderately sustainable. Okay, so there are certain states where the agriculture practices are much more sustainable than others. So here it is Mizoram, Kerala, Madhya Pradesh, Andhra, Manipur, West Bengal, Uttarakhand. Okay, now what is something that you should note here is Rajasthan, which has the least amount of underwater resources, it is forming actually the least sustainable agriculture practices. Okay, so it is following the least sustainable agriculture practice. That is something very shocking to hear. Okay, and it also highlights that there are certain states, that is Uttar Pradesh, Punjab, Bihar, and Haryana, which will have a higher risk of climate change impact. Okay, so currently our Indian agriculture is moderately sustainable. Some states it is much, they are not following sustainable agricultural practices. One of them being Rajasthan. Okay, so focus on that. Fine. So it's an index created by ICAR. Fine. The next one is fisheries. Now in fisheries, recirculating aquaculture system, already a UPSC question. Okay, so here the focus is on ensuring yes, the fishes are grown here. Whatever feed remains are there. Water fish waste is there. It goes here. And finally, all the solid particles that are there, they are collected and created. Biogas, fertilizers are created out of it. And finally, the water part of it is treated and sent back in. Okay, so that is recirculating aquaculture systems. So here you're creating a loop, closed loop water system so that less water you're using and whatever wastewater is there, you are circulating, you are treating it, and you are circulating it again through the system. Okay, so it uses biofilter, aeration, UV sterilization. Okay, it was on biofilters that UPSC asked you a question, right? Now, along the same lines, you should also prepare biofloc technology. Okay, so in fisheries, biofloc technology basically means you're ensuring there is growth of microorganisms. Okay, you're an aquaculture system where you're ensuring beneficial microorganisms can grow, which will help in increasing the nutrient rich waters and which will help in growth of fishes. Okay, which will help in improving water quality and fish nutrition. Okay, so here basically it converts waste materials that are there, fish excreta, into protein rich microbial biomass. Okay, this bioflok that is there, it is formed of bacteria, algae, fungi, protozoa, which consume excess nutrients, and it helps in fish quality also. Right, so that is bioflok technology. So here you can see, okay, waste from food, feces, urine concentration, they are basically treated, and the intent is to create much more bioflok systems here, or increase the growth of beneficial microorganisms, right? So increases nitrifying bacterial colonies, thereby maintaining water quality, and together with phytoplankton, zooplankton, and it adds as an additional food for aquaculture farming systems. Okay, so that is what biofloc technologies, right? Now, apart from it, the economic survey also mentions about two other themes. That is, one is raceway and other one is pen. Okay, these also should be adopted in large numbers to promote fisheries sector. Okay, raceways is basically narrow channel where one way flow of water is there, so that there is continuously mixing of the natural water and here. So nutrient exchange is there. Okay. Similarly, when we talk about pens here, again, netted enclosures where water can move through, but fishes cannot. Okay. So it restricts fish, but it allows for water exchange to happen. Okay. So these two have been mentioned, but focus more on biofloc technology, that is more than sufficient. Fine. Okay. The next theme we are focusing on is electricity, right? Now here, three statements given. Tell me which statements do you think would be correct here? Consider the following statements regarding installed electricity generation capacity in India. Answer for KCC, that third statement would be wrong, no? Dinesh. Third statement, that 3 lakh was there. Okay. And initially, yeah, exactly. And initially, when NABARD released it, it was not for allied sectors. It was focusing only on agriculture. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, crop loans you can take uh, in context of NWR, right? After post harvest, you can take, Praveen. No issues there. Against those crops, against harvested crops, you can take loans. No issues. Okay. Yeah, here, what do you think would be the answer? Two. This is a very important topic. Okay, you should definitely go through this. 1 and 3, 1 and 2. Okay. Yeah, 1 and 3. Okay. All right. So let's see the content first, and then we'll try to answer this question. Okay. Yeah. So when we talk about climate aspect of it, the first initiative that economic survey mentions is MISTI, right? That is Mangrove Initiative for Shoreline Habitats and Tangible Income. Okay, so here the intent is to conserve mangroves, and it is focusing on improving mangroves, especially in 540 square kilometers across 9 coastal states. Okay, so it is the state forest departments which are the primary implementing agencies of the program, mystery program. Okay, and the funding is from State Campa. Okay, so please go through this. Already an initiative which you know, right? The next one that it mentions is River Cities Alliance. Now, this also is an initiative which happened 2, 3 years back, right? So, River Cities Alliance focusing specifically on those cities or exchanging information on how to manage urban rivers, right? So, that was the River Cities Alliance, an alliance that has been created with the intent to share best practices for sustainable management of urban rivers, right? So here, this alliance is a joint initiative of Ministry of Jal Shakti and Ministry of Urban Affairs. Okay, the alliance is open to all river cities of India. Any river city can join the alliance at any time, and it is the state government which is implementing these action plans. Okay, so just mentioned by in the economic survey, so that is why we have covered it again. Fine. The next one is Bhunir portal. Now, this portal that is there, it is focusing on ensuring that the citizens go through enough compliance, or it ensures that citizens know about the compliance which is required for groundwater extraction. Okay, so Bhunir portal, it is an advanced portal developed by the Central Groundwater Authority under the Ministry of Jal Shakti, and the intent is to provide comprehensive detail regarding all the legal framework that is there governing groundwater extraction, regulations at the state and national level. Okay, making citizens aware about the necessary laws so that the extraction is not too much. Right. Along the same lines, you have another app that is Flood Watch India app. This one focusing on flood forecast. Okay, so just go through it. Mentioned in your economic survey, so we have covered it. Right. Okay. The next one is RE Power EU plan. Okay, now this one is important. It's a European Union initiative which has been mentioned in economic survey, right? So the intent of this plan is to transition away from Russian fossil fuels, or to reduce dependence on Russian fossil fuels and accelerate the transition to renewable energy. Okay, so this they adopted at the start of Russia-Ukraine war. Okay, so they want to diversify energy sources and increase energy efficiency through conservation measures. Okay, so what you should know, yeah, it's a European Union initiative. Second is, what is the purpose? The purpose is to reduce dependence on Russian fossil fuel. That is RE Power EU plan. Okay, remember that. Okay, now this one is the most important that you should know regarding installed generation capacity here. Okay, so as everyone knows, right, it is coal which contributes the highest in electricity generation capacity here, 46%. Then you have gas. Okay, then you have lignite, and then you have diesel. Okay, so here it is coal, then gas when you talk about thermal, right? Here there is lignite, and finally diesel, right? Now, when you talk about the renewable energies here, solar energy has the highest. Then it is wind. It is not hydro. It is wind, then hydro, and then nuclear. Okay, this also you should clearly know in that order itself. Okay, solar is there, then wind, then hydro, then nuclear. Okay, the third point that you should know, that is wind and hydro combined. Are they greater than solar? Wind and hydro combined, are they greater than solar? Okay, yes, definitely they are. Okay, now, so if at all a question is asked, as we have seen in the right now practice question, that is solar contributes more than wind, hydro, and nuclear combined. That is not the case. Okay, so remember that aspect also. Okay, similarly, when we talk about thermal, also here, coal is the highest, then you have gas, then you have lignite, then you have diesel. Okay, I hope this is clear. Fine. And when you talk about the total, that is the entire renewable that is there, how much percentage is it? Okay, so that calculate that also. Okay, that is when we talk about renewable, how much percentage are we talking about? When we talk about thermal, how much percentage are we talking about? Okay, yeah, 47 and 53. Fine. So focus on that aspect also. Fine. So now I hope this question you can answer. Yeah, so tell me here, solar energy contributes more to the installed capacity than wind, hydro, and nuclear power combined. This would be clearly wrong. Okay, solar energy does not contribute more than all three combined. Okay, the share of gas-based power generation is lower than that of lignite and diesel combined. This is again clearly wrong. Okay, for gas it is nearly 5%, whereas for lignite and diesel it is nearly 1.8, 1.9 ऐसा. ठीक है. Now renewable energy sources, they collectively contribute more than 40% of the total installed capacity. That is true. ठीक है. So more than 40%, that is correct. Fine. Exactly. So please go through this very important chart. You should definitely know on this. ठीक है. Yeah. Coming to the next one. Yeah. The next one is growing energy generation from non-fossil fuels in India. Here, what you should focus, yeah, growth is much more on the thermal, but what you should focus on is the rate of growth here, right? When we talk about total non-fossil growth here, which one, whose share is increasing drastically here? It is renewable energy sources. You can see the green one, right? So earlier it was here, this much only, but now it is increasing. Similarly, for hydro also it is increasing. For nuclear, it is less. It is almost the same. Okay. But for renewable energy sources, for hydro, both of them, it is increasing. Now, here, if a question is asked, is it steadily increasing? When we talk about energy generation from non-fossil fuel. Okay. Yeah. So it is not here. Okay. But if it is asked in the last decade, then, or in the last 5 years, then what you will say? Overall, there is an clear-cut increase. Okay. So yes, definitely that is there. Okay. So please go through this aspect also. Fine. So this is specifically given in your economic survey. So that is why you should know this one. That is where it is increasing. Right. Okay. The next one is new solar power scheme here. Now, what does it focus on? It is focusing specifically on particularly vulnerable tribal groups, PVTGs. Okay. So the scheme that is there, it ensures electrification of 1 lakh unelectrified households. Okay. Ministry of Tribal Affairs here. And the intent is ensuring, yeah, the provision for off-grid solar lighting is achieved. Okay. So off-grid solar lighting, it is achieved especially for PVTG areas or for public institutions only when they are not able to uh, connect them, or they are not able to connect them through proper electricity grid. Okay. So just focus on this new solar power scheme, focusing on PVTGs. Second aspect is focusing on electrification. How so? Through off-grid solar lighting. Okay. It comes under Ministry of Tribal Affairs. Fine. Now, what is more important for you is this one. This is very important. PM Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana. Okay, this one is very important. Okay, so here the focus is on how is it Muft free electricity. The intent is ensuring rooftop solar plants in 1 crore households. So the numerical component is there. Please go through it. Okay. So the scheme focuses on installing rooftop solar plants in 1 crore households. Okay. The second one is the intent is to tap into 30 gigawatt of residential rooftop solar capacity by 2027. Okay, that is one of the targets under the scheme. Okay, so the aim is to access collateral free, low interest loan at 7% interest and collateral free loan up to how much? 3 kilowatt. This is also important. Okay, that is if you want to install rooftop solar up to 3 kilowatt, then you can get collateral free loan. Okay, if it is above 3 kilowatt, yeah, that is not there. Okay, now some subsidy is given, but not all. Okay, now initiative of Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. So these are the four major objectives that are planned: free electricity, reduced electricity cost, increased use of renewable energy, and carbon emission. Okay, now what you should know here is this. The scheme that is there, it offers a subsidy of up to 40% depending upon the kilowatt hour that is used. That is, what is the rooftop solar plant capacity that you're setting up. According to it, you will get a subsidy support. Okay, so if it is less than 2 kilowatt hour, here you will get 30,000 to 60,000. This will be your subsidy support. If it is above 3 kilowatt hour, the subsidy support provided is up to 78,000. Right. Now, what is the eligibility criteria? Yeah, so if you want to set up rooftop solar plant, definitely you should be an Indian citizen. Second is you should have a household of your own. Okay. And the third major one is you should not avail any other subsidy. Okay. Must not have availed any other subsidy for solar plant. Right. You should also have a valid electricity connection. Okay. So these are basic eligibility criteria that are given. Okay. Now, what another aspect that they have to note here is the household should can also sell the extra power that they generate back to discoms also. Okay, so under Pradhan Mantri Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana, the scheme will have opportunity to earn extra income. Households can earn extra income by selling surplus power generated back to discoms. Okay, so that is specifically mentioned. Go through it. Okay. Now there is a important component of the scheme also, that is model solar village component of the scheme. Okay. So here the focus is on establishing one model solar village per district, and the intent is to provide that village which has the highest renewable energy capacity with 1 crore. Okay. So the State Renewable Energy Development Agency will be implementing this. Okay. So what is happening is they will select one village which has the highest renewable energy capacity generation. They will ensure that it is properly tapped and the resource of 1 crore will be given. So this component of it also comes under Pradhan Mantri Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana. Okay. So remember that also. Fine. Okay. The next one is National Bioenergy Program here, notified by Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. Yeah, so three major parameters are given here. Okay, three important sub-schemes under bioenergy. One is waste to energy program. Here, the focus is on ensuring setting up large biogas plants. Second one is biomass program, focus on setting up pellets. The third one is setting up medium-sized biogas in rural area. Okay, so National Bioenergy Program, three major sub-schemes are there. Okay, and here it clearly excludes, remember this also, in the National Bioenergy Program, the municipal sewage waste that is there, it is clearly excluded. Okay, and even big power projects are excluded. Okay, so only agriculture waste or industrial waste or residues that are there, that is being collected here. Fine. So three important aspects that you should know. Fine. The next one is new categorization of bonds here. So a lot of now, how is the government transitioning or ensuring that India transitions to climate resilient or India achieves climate resilience, right? So the government of India is saying we have basically released different type of bonds now. So one is a transition bond focusing on raising funds for shifting to sustainable operations, aligning with India's INDCs. Okay, blue bond focuses on those projects which are specifically marine in nature. Yellow bonds focuses on raising funds with respect to solar energy. Okay, circular economy focuses on waste management, and sovereign green bond. Now, this one, if you have read just 1 or 2 days newspaper, okay, it was again mentioned sovereign green bond. That is, the demand for sovereign green bonds has substantially reduced now. Okay, so here this is again government issued bonds aimed at raising funds for environmentally sustainable projects. Okay, so different type of bonds that they are trying to work on. Okay, now what RBI has mentioned here is RBI has now classified bank loans of up to 30 crores for borrowers who are investing in renewable energy products projects under the priority sector lending category. Okay, so the upper limit has been increased up to 30 crores. Remember that. Okay, so bank loans up to 30 crores, they are eligible for priority sector lending category. Okay, so new, this also is important that you should know. Fine. Now the next one. Okay, now this one is important. That is advanced ultra supercritical power plants. Okay, so why it is in news? Because India is trying to set up its first advanced ultra supercritical plant in Chhattisgarh. Okay, so the plans are in place and it is India's first such plant which is being established. So you have to focus on this. Okay, the second aspect is it is the next generation of coal fired power plants. So here, as it's the next generation, so the efficiency will be higher. Okay, the amount of coal that you will use, that is also less, or with the same coal you can produce more energy. Okay, so all positives here. So that is what you should focus on. Okay, so this AUSC plants that are there, ultra super critical power plants, they achieve a thermal efficiency of 45 to 50% compared to subcritical or supercritical power plants. Their CO2 emissions are also very less, 10 to 15% lesser, and they produce more electricity per unit of coal. Okay, so everything is positive. Go through it. Okay, very important. This you should know. Fine. Chalo. If this is clear, we come to the next aspect, the social aspect. Okay, social sector. Yeah, tell me which statement do you think would be correct here? Okay. What is the primary purpose of Castle framework? You can take a guess, okay? If you found this in exam hall, what will you write? Which option will you go with? A. Okay. A, B, B. Okay. Yeah. So here, the primary purpose of Castle framework is actually A, to enhance social and emotional learning among students. Okay. So we'll see. We'll go through it one by one. Okay. Now that's very, very important. Yeah. The first one, which economic survey talks about is this Nipun Bharat, right? So the initiative focuses on ensuring that the foundational literacy, that is, every child is able to have foundational literacy and numeracy up till grade 3, right? By 2026-27. That is the initiative here. Okay. So when we talk about foundational literacy and numeracy, what does it entail? Yeah, the child should be able to read a comprehension, should be able to write, should be able to perform basic mathematical operation, should have certain basic life skills. Okay, this is what is uh, planned to be achieved under the Nippon Bharat initiative. Okay, so it is already there in the national education policy, right? Already part of it. So it covers 3 years of foundational literacy and numeracy in preschool and grade 1 to 3. Okay, and it is Department of School Education and Literacy, which is implementing this. Okay, so when you talk about foundational literacy, what are we focusing on? Yeah, able to read, write. Okay, now when you talk about numeracy, able to use numbers, able to use measurements. That is, the child should be able to add, subtract, and all of it, right? But what the government has now realized is there is another core component that has to be added to Nippon Bharat. That is social and emotional learning. Okay, because now we are seeing the rise of mental health. Mental health is a major issue that is happening. So the government is now trying to transition or to add one more component of it to the Nippon Bharat scheme, right? That is social and emotional learning. So here the intent is what? The intent is to equip students with the necessary skills to navigate life challenges, okay, or to enhance mental well-being. Okay. So here they should be self-aware. They should be able to self-manage. Socially, they should be aware. Relationship skills they should have, and they should have a responsible decision making. These are majorly the five major components under SEL. Okay. Why is it being now focused on? Because to create a positive social behavior and interpersonal relationships. Okay, to mitigate behavioral issues, psychological distress, and all of it. Okay, now to ensure or to add this core component, the government is focusing on KSL framework. Okay, so it is basically a research based model to enhance a child social and emotional learning. Okay, so the focus is on developing essential life skills in students to promote academic success, but at the same time to enhance their emotional intelligence also. Okay, so that comes under KSL framework. Very, very important. You should definitely know this. Okay, so five components that are there mentioned here. So again, it should be given in classroom, school, families, communities, all of it. Okay, that is social and emotional learning. Fine. The next one, which is very important, that is Tim Tear Initiative. Okay, TDT initiative. It is built on WHO's life skill framework here. Okay, and what is it focusing on? It is focusing on imparting essential life skill in adolescent students across India. Okay, so when we talk about the KSL framework, it is focusing on younger students. Okay, it is focusing on ensuring that emotional traits are there or emotional intelligence is being built in younger children. Whereas when we talk about adolescent students, it is this initiative, Tim Tear initiative. Okay, here the aim is on emphasis on soft skill. Okay, key components. So develop soft skills that is there. Okay, so in line with WHO's framework. Okay, so please go through this. Okay. The next one, so this one is also important. What is the primary purpose of growth director program? This also you can take a guess. What do you think would be the answer here? Which option will you go with? A. Okay, very good. Actually, it would be A itself. Okay, it will be A itself. Okay, so it is focusing on MSME growth through mentorship and peer networks. Fine. All right. So here this chapter is regarding employment. Okay, now this chart is also very important. See, when we talk about male and female, especially rural, we observe the common trend. The common trend here is females are at a greater percentage in agriculture sector, right? In agriculture, males that are there, they are focused on agriculture and yeah, this one, that is construction, right? But when we observe their urban counterparts, what do we observe here? In urban counterparts, the females are focused more on what? Transport, storage, and communication. Now, this is something that you will not be able to guess. Okay. Generally, we assume it may be in trade, hotel, or restaurant where female workers will be much more in number. Okay. But the sector or the industry where the more number of female workers are participating, it is transport, storage, and communication. Remember this aspect. Okay. Then comes manufacturing and then other sectors. Okay. Similarly, when it comes to males, here it is trade, hotel, and restaurant. That is where maximum number is there. Okay. Then other services and then manufacturing. Okay. So here the difference is clearly there. This you should observe. Okay. So when we talk about urban females, it is the sector where maximum employment is there, transport, storage, and communication. For males, it is trade, hotel, and restaurant. Just the opposite, right? So focus on that aspect. Fine. The next one, yeah, when we talk about the female workers, overall, in which sector they are maximum, they are represented, it is agriculture. Okay, but when we talk about male workers, yeah, so agriculture is definitely there. Apart from this, construction, trade, hotel and restaurant, and transport, storage, and communication. Okay, these are the sectors that they are focusing on. Okay, so remember that aspect. Now, the next initiative is Global Alliance for Mass Entrepreneurship. Okay. Now, this one is an initiative, non-profit initiative started in Bangalore. The intent is to create entrepreneurs, 10 million entrepreneurs in India by 2030. Okay. So it's a non-profit initiative aimed at stimulating mass entrepreneurship in India. Okay. So Bangalore is there, numerical is there. Please go through it. Fine. Now, why we are focusing on GAME, that is Global Alliance for Mass Entrepreneurship, because it has partnered with National Rural Livelihood Mission to promote women entrepreneurs. Okay, especially rural women entrepreneurs. Okay, under the scheme, that is Women Entrepreneur Financial Empowerment Program. So here the aim is to improve credit access to rural women entrepreneurs. Okay, they are doing it through their sakhis, and these sakhis, yeah, guide women on loan options and all. Okay, so please cover this aspect also. Okay, now under the program, yeah, a new program is there, that is Growth Rater program here. So accelerate MSME growth by enhancing profitability, job creation, and long-term success. Fine. Now this one is also very important. That is, which are the industry groups in India currently which have the highest share in employment? Okay, so here food products are there, textile, basic metal, apparels, motor vehicles, machinery, chemicals. These are the 7 sectors where we are seeing high employment in India currently. Okay, apart from this, in electronics manufacturing also we are now seeing an uptick. Okay, so you should clearly know this also very important. Which are those industries where we are seeing high growth? Okay, in the percentage terms also. So here it is food products, textile, basic metal, apparel, motor vehicle, machinery, and chemicals and chemical products. Fine. Now, regarding employment, yeah, in renewable energy space, where is the percentage of jobs being created? So here also you might by default think it is solar. Okay, that is in solar, the job creation is more, but it is not the case. It is hydropower. Okay, so hydropower has 44% of the share of workforce of renewable energy sector. Okay, so here this is just different. So hydro, then solar, then biogas, then solid biomass. Okay, then wind, solar heating. In that order itself, such a question can be asked. Ki, acha, arrange them in descending order of the percentage of jobs that are being created in the renewable energy space. Fine. Okay, the next one is Global Energy Alliance for People and Planet. So here it's just an alliance created with the intent to transition to clean energy access, and so focus is on low and middle income countries here, and it is set up by the Rockefeller Foundation and Bezos Earth Fund. Okay, so this alliance again mentioned in economic survey, so we have just covered it. Okay, so the intent is to accelerate clean energy access and sustainable economic development in low and middle income countries. Fine. So please go through this. Uh, so here, what will be the answer here? So we have already discussed it as A. Okay, growth Accelerator program that is there. Accelerate MSME growth through mentorship and peer networks. Fine. So if this is clear. All right. So with that, I end the class for today. Okay. Now there are certain things that I have to clarify here. See, I'll just